Ever wondered what a deadlock is in operating systems and how it can be resolved? Well, a deadlock is a peculiar predicament where a set of processes find themselves in a standstill, each waiting for a resource held by another. This forms a cyclical chain of dependencies that seems impossible to break. Picture this: it's like four friends playing a game of pass the parcel, but instead of passing the parcel, they're all holding on to their own parcels and waiting for someone else to give up theirs. The result? No one wins. This is the essence of a deadlock in operating systems. Processes become stuck, and they can't proceed because they're all waiting for something they can't get. This situation can lead to significant system inefficiency, or in worst-case scenarios, bring the entire system to a grinding halt. When a deadlock occurs, the affected processes cannot proceed, leading to system inefficiency or even a complete halt. Scene script: a deadlock occurs when four conditions are simultaneously met in a system. These conditions can be likened to a complicated dance, where each misstep can lead to a standstill. Let's delve into these conditions. Firstly, we have mutual exclusion. This is the solo dance act. It means that at least one resource must be non-shareable. Just like a spotlight on a stage, only one process can use it at a time. If another process tries to step in, it must wait its turn. Next up is hold and wait. Imagine a dance troupe, each member holding a prop while waiting for another prop that is currently in use. In terms of our operating system, processes hold resources they've already been assigned while waiting for additional ones that are currently held by others. The third condition is no preemption. In the dance of our operating system, there are no abrupt interruptions. Resources can't be forcibly taken away from a process. They must be released voluntarily. It's like a courteous handover of props on stage. Finally, we have the circular wait, the grand finale of our deadlock dance. This is where a circular chain of processes exists, each one holding at least one resource and waiting for another held by the next process in the chain. It's like a circle of dancers, each waiting for the other to make the next move, but no one does. So, to recap, mutual exclusion is where only one process can use a resource at a time. Hold and wait is when processes hold on to resources while waiting for more. No preemption means resources must be voluntarily released. And circular wait is a cycle of dependency where every process is waiting on another. These four conditions, when met simultaneously, create a deadlock, a situation where the dance of our operating system grinds to a halt, and no process can proceed. It's like a music box that has wound down. The dancer's frozen in place until someone resolves the deadlock. If all four conditions are present, a deadlock can occur. It's a tricky situation, but understanding these conditions is the first step in learning how to prevent, avoid, or resolve deadlocks. Deadlocks can happen due to several factors. The first cause we'll delve into is resource allocation. When resources are allocated without careful planning or order, it can create a situation where a process is holding on to a resource that another process needs, and vice versa. This can lead to a deadlock if both processes refuse to release their resources until they get the ones they are waiting for. Next, we have concurrency. When multiple processes are running at the same time and sharing common resources, there's a chance that they might end up needing the same resource at the same time. If these resources are non-shareable, meaning only one process can use it at a time, it can lead to a deadlock. The last cause we'll discuss is priority inversion. This happens when a lower priority process holds a resource that a higher priority process needs. Because the higher priority process is waiting for the lower priority process to release the resource, and the lower priority process is waiting for the higher priority process to release a different resource, a deadlock can occur. It's important to note that these causes are not isolated. They can and often do occur together, creating situations where the potential for deadlock is high. For instance, in a system where resources are improperly allocated and multiple processes are running concurrently, the risk of deadlock increases. And if a priority inversion situation is thrown into the mix, it can further exacerbate the problem. Understanding these causes is the first step towards preventing deadlocks. By ensuring proper resource allocation, managing concurrency effectively, and handling priority inversion situations appropriately, we can reduce the likelihood of deadlocks occurring. However, despite our best efforts, it's not always possible to completely eliminate the risk of deadlock. That's why it's crucial to have effective deadlock handling strategies in place, which we'll be discussing in the next segment. These factors, if not properly managed, can lead to a deadlock. Operating systems use different strategies to handle deadlocks. Picture this. You're in a bustling city, driving along when suddenly all traffic comes to a standstill. That's a deadlock, but in an operating system. And just like in traffic, we need strategies to manage these standstills, to keep things moving smoothly. First up, we have deadlock prevention. This strategy is like a cautious driver who ensures they have a clear path before moving forward. By altering at least one of the 4 deadlock conditions, we can prevent a deadlock from occurring in the first place. This could involve ensuring all resources are requested at once, which prevents hold and wait, or imposing a strict ordering on resource acquisition to prevent a circular wait. Next, we have the deadlock avoidance strategy. This is like a traffic officer, dynamically directing cars to prevent a deadlock. A classic example of this is the banker's algorithm, which assesses resource requests and decides whether they would lead to a safe state or a potential deadlock. Thirdly, we have deadlock detection and recovery. This is like a traffic helicopter, spotting jams from above and coordinating recovery efforts. This strategy involves running algorithms to detect cycles in the resource allocation graph and then taking corrective actions, such as terminating processes or forcing resource release. Lastly, we have the deadlock ignorance strategy. This is the out-of-sight, out-of-mind approach, often seen in simpler systems or scenarios where deadlocks are rare and their impact is low. This strategy relies on manual intervention to resolve deadlocks when they occur. Each of these strategies has its own advantages and disadvantages. Deadlock prevention and avoidance are proactive, but can be resource-intensive. Deadlock detection and recovery is reactive and can be costly in terms of system performance. And deadlock ignorance, while simple, relies heavily on human intervention. So in the end, the strategy chosen depends on the specific requirements of the system. Just like in traffic, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. It's all about finding the right balance to keep things moving. Each strategy has its own advantages and disadvantages and is used based on the specific requirements of the system. In practice, deadlocks can have significant consequences, impacting system stability and performance. It's akin to a traffic jam in your computer, where processes are honking at each other, but no one's moving. Let's delve into some practical considerations. First up, resource management. Imagine you're throwing a dinner party, but you've only got one fork. That's a surefire recipe for a deadlock, right? So in the world of operating systems, careful design of resource allocation policies is crucial. This might involve ensuring that resources are not all requested at once, or perhaps implementing a strict ordering to resource requests, akin to giving your dinner guests a number and serving them one at a time. Next, we have concurrency control. This is about managing how and when processes access shared resources. Techniques like semaphores, locks, and condition variables come into play here. Think of these as the traffic lights and roundabouts of your operating system, keeping everything flowing smoothly and avoiding those pesky traffic jams. Monitoring tools also play a pivotal role. Just like a weather radar helps predict storms, these tools monitor system performance and detect potential deadlock conditions early. They're the watchdogs constantly sniffing around for trouble, ready to howl a warning at the first whiff of a deadlock. And finally, we come to system design. This is about structuring systems to minimize shared resources and ensure orderly access. It's like designing a city with enough roads and bridges to prevent traffic congestion. In the realm of operating systems, this could mean designing processes to minimize their need for shared resources, or perhaps creating a hierarchy of resources to prevent circular waits. So as you can see, preventing and dealing with deadlocks involves a holistic approach, combining careful planning, clever system design, and constant vigilance. It's a challenge, no doubt, but one that's critical to the smooth running of our systems. Therefore, operating systems and software engineers often implement mechanisms to prevent or minimize deadlocks. So understanding and managing deadlocks is crucial for efficient system operation. We've learned that deadlocks are a critical issue in operating systems, occurring when a cycle of dependencies is formed, and each process in this cycle is waiting for a resource held by another. Deadlocks can arise due to factors like improper resource allocation, concurrent processing, or priority inversion. Operating systems implement various strategies to handle deadlocks, including deadlock prevention, which alters the conditions to avoid deadlock; deadlock avoidance, which dynamically allocates resources; deadlock detection and recovery, which involves identifying and recovering from deadlocks; and deadlock ignorance, which simply overlooks the issue. On a practical level, deadlocks can significantly impact system performance and stability. Thus, careful resource management, concurrency control, use of monitoring tools, and thoughtful system design are key to preventing or minimizing deadlocks. Remember, the best way to handle a deadlock is to prevent it from happening in the first place.